Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to the second episode of Sigma podcast. I'm your host Zainab Khan, and today we are diving into the heart of a season that whispers to us in its own unique language, winter. Before we begin, I'm honored to have some very special guests with me today. Dr. Saad Zahrani, a distinguished figure in our school and true inspiration to many. And two of my wonderful teachers, Miss Afnan Al-Limari and Razan Hatim, whose wisdom and warmth make every day brighter. Many thanks to you all for being part of this episode. Your presence adds so much depth and meaning to today's conversation. Whispers of winter. After autumn surrenders its leaves, winter begins. Not a season I once favored, yet one I grew to love. Its stillness, unhurried rhythm, and contrast between lingering nights and fleeting days creates a symphony of their own. Winter's charms lies in its details, the warmth of clothes, the nostalgia in flavors, and the air's delicate blend of frost and hidden warmth. Its chill awakens memories I revisit, not to recall but to rewrite their endings. At night, I rest on the pillow of memories, cradled by winter's whispers. If only beginnings could last forever, untouched by the certainty of endings. Now let's hear from my wonderful guests. Let's begin with Dr. Saad. Throughout your academic journey, you faced many obstacles, from the harsh winter cold to the pressure of research and being away from home. Was there a particular moment when you realized you had overcome it all and emerged stronger?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Saad Zahrani, and I'd like to talk about my PhD journey, which was a dream I had nurtured for years. A promise to myself and my family that I would bring home something historical for the family. But winter in the UK made me sometimes feel like that dream is like a distant star, visible but nearly out of reach, because the chill was relentless, not just in the air itself, but also in the solitude I felt. Those long cold nights stretched endlessly, and the pressure of my research, writing, and deadlines pressed down heavily on me. Every morning was a battle. Pulling myself out of the warm cocoon of my blanket felt like waging war against the extreme weather. Even the drive to the university was an icy trek, my breath forming white clouds as I trudged along. Sometimes the weight of it all made me pause, standing there in the middle of the snow, wondering if I could truly do this. But I reminded myself why I was here. I thought of the warmth of my home, the faces of my loved ones back in Saudi Arabia, and the life I was building for myself and for them. Their faith in me burned brighter than the sun, cutting through the frost that tried to settle in my heart. The university library became both my sanctuary and my battleground. I spent hours poring over books and research papers, fighting through moments of self-doubt and exhaustion. There were days when the silence was deafening, but it was in those quiet hours that I found strength. I reminded myself that this was temporary, that winter was only a season, and seasons change. The turning point came one late winter night. Snow was falling heavily outside, blanketing the city in silence. I was seated at my desk, staring at my computer screen, when I realized how far I had come. The challenges, the loneliness, the cold nights, the moments of doubt had not broken me. Instead, they had forged a resilience I never knew I had. With renewed determination, I dived into my work. I pushed through the freezing mornings, the endless edits, and the daunting of presentations. The thought of holding my PhD certificate in my hands, of standing in the warm embrace of my family back in Saudi Arabia, kept me moving forward. And then, after what felt like a lifetime, the day came. The winter had begun to thaw, and so had the weight on my shoulders. The final chapter of my thesis was complete. The defense was a success. When I held that certificate, the sense of accomplishment was indescribable. The journey back to Saudi Arabia was more than just a flight home. It was a return as someone who had weathered storms, both literal and figurative. The warmth of the sun welcomed me, but it was the warmth in the eyes of my loved ones that mattered most. I had done it. Despite the very cold moment, despite the struggles, I had achieved what I set out to do. And when I looked back on my time in the city of York, I realized that it was not just a place where I earned my PhD. It was the place where I discovered my strength, my resilience, and my unwavering determination to succeed. Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Saad, I'm deeply impressed by your perspective on overcoming challenges. Your ability to turn adversity into growth is a powerful reminder of the strength we all carry with us. And now with our unique and exceptional teacher, Ms. Afnan, even without experiencing snow, winter still holds a special magic. What aspects of the season resonate with you the most? She shares her thoughts and she said, "Winter is a season I cherish deeply, with its long nights that invite introspection and a quietness that feels almost sacred. The stillness envelops the world, creating a serene atmosphere that allows for moments of reflection and warmth. Though we have never witnessed snow, the thought of it adds to the magic of winter, enhance its beauty and allure. This season, with its crisp air and tranquil nights, holds a special place in my heart, a reminder of a peace found in a nature's embrace." Wow, wonderful. That was beautifully said, Afnan. I love how you captured the tranquility of winter and the peacefulness it brings. It really makes you appreciate the calm moments in life. At last but not the least, our lovely teacher, Miss Razan. Your experience with the cold city sounds intense. How did you find the strength in such a challenging shift?
Winter in the cold city hit me harder than I expected. After 20 years of basking in the warmth of my old city, where the sun always felt close and the air never chilled my bones, the sudden shift was overwhelming. I remember stepping outside for the first time, feeling the sharp beating cold sting my skin and freeze my breath in the air. My body wasn't used to this, the heaviness of layers, the suffocating scarves, the constant discomfort of cold creeping in no matter how much I bundled up. The silence here was different too. The streets, usually bustling with the noise of life, felt strangely muted under a thick blanket of the cold. Every step on the cold ground felt like a struggle, and I found myself wishing for the heat of my old city, where I could walk freely, feel the sun on my face, and breathe easy. But as the weeks wore on, something inside me began to shift. The cold Though harsh, was teaching me resilience. I learned to adapt, to appreciate the quiet beauty in the snow, and even to find warmth in small moments, like a cup of tea or a rare glimpse of sun. The winter wasn't just a challenge, it was a way for growing stronger.
Miss Razan, your words really resonate with me. You have captured the struggle of adapting to a new environment beautifully, and how even the harshest conditions can teach us strength and resilience. Dear listeners, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Winter, like life, is a season of contrasts. It teaches us to find beauty in stillness, warmth in the cold, and beginnings even in endings. Thank you for joining me today on Sigma Podcast. A special thanks to Dr. Saad Al-Zahrani, Miss Afnan, and Miss Razan for their wonderful contribution. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might enjoy it too. Until next time, stay warm, stay reflective, and let the whispers of winter guide you. Bye bye. See you next time.